Hey, welcome to EPN. My name is Victor Lucas, and we bring you the latest in everything cool every single day. And phew, we made this one just in the nick of time. We've got a lot of show for you guys today. I've got a great interview with Ted Mathot, who is the story supervisor on The Incredibles 2. Just finished editing that. We've got new reviews, new buried treasure. We're going to be playing a very cool game, and let's play and chat. But first up, we've got to get to your rundown, and today it is dedicated to Daniel Flago, who says, "Killer show, fellas." Well, guess what, Daniel? We got another one right now. Here's your rundown. A year later, Bungie is still making big changes to Destiny 2. The developer has announced Forsaken, the latest expansion for last year's sci-fi shooter. It will give players new locations, missions, and multiplayer maps, but most importantly, it will also overhaul many of the game's systems and mechanics, including the progression system and weapon upgrade system. Those have received major criticism from players, forcing Bungie to make many tweaks and changes already, and they promise that Forsaken will incorporate all the feedback they've received over the last year. The progression changes will take effect for all players, whether you buy the expansion or not. It costs $40 US by itself or $30 for season pass holders and will deploy September 4th. This expansion looks ridiculously cool. They put a great video together showcasing all of the new features and stuff, and clearly the message from Bungie is that it's, they've heard the criticism, it's fans first, we're going to make all Destiny players happy. They're giving players a lot of customizable ways to play the game and new content. I like the idea of this a bunch of criminals busting out of a prison and stuff, and it just looks like it's going to be a ton of fun. I can't wait. They've sunk so much development effort and money and work into this game, into this franchise that, I hate to see the negative backlash, but clearly there are unhappy players out there, and Bungie's trying to respond. And when I saw that trailer, I was like, oh my God, I got to play more Destiny 2, and I can't wait for Forsaken. So I'm stoked. Definitely want to hear from you guys. Let us know in the chat and also in the comments below if you're watching this as an archive. Now, so many people have been leaking big E3 games, publishers might want to think about hiring a hitman. Yesterday evening, developer IO Interactive and publisher Warner Bros. Interactive Entertainment accidentally announced an all-new Hitman game. They posted a logo for an unannounced game simply titled Hitman 2 on their website before quickly taking it down, and they're apparently planning an intentional reveal this Thursday. The new game is expected to be a follow-up to the 2016 reboot of the franchise, which was released episodically. IO Interactive inked a publishing deal with Warner Bros. Following their split from former parent company Square Enix last year. Great news for IO Interactive. Warner Bros. Is a great fit, actually, for this franchise. I loved what they did with the episodes. I played a bunch of them, and I had a great time. Incredibly intricate, lots of great details. And I think they're just, IO is a game that puts something out, watches how people play, is constantly sort of engaged with the community and gets a lot of feedback and sort of alters course on the subsequent issues, even episodes that they do within a certain game. But every time they've come up to bat with Hitman, they've moved the needle a little bit forward, and they're really sort of progressive in the way that they think about how to redesign and how to kind of best serve their fans and best serve their brands. And I was happy when they were able to kind of buy the rights back, and I'm super happy that they're going to work with Warner Brothers on all of this stuff. Not that Square Enix was a bad developer or a bad publisher for those guys, and I love the fact that Square Enix was, savvy enough to let these guys run with this. And so I'm psyched for more. I can't wait to see what Warner Brothers and IO have up their sleeves for more Hitman. Another big game franchise that might get a new game at E3 is Diablo. Blizzard is working on a new unannounced Diablo game. That's according to a job posting on their official website, which is hiring for a new Diablo-related project that will be created by a tight-knit crew and have atmospheric dungeons with modern graphics and textures and both 2D and 3D art assets. It's hard to tell exactly what kind of Diablo game this is or how big it will be, and there's no telling how long it will take to make. Blizzard is rumored to be working on a Switch version of Diablo 3, which might be announced at E3. That is an awesome fit. I think every time we stream about what games you want on your Switch, somebody always says Diablo 3, and it's always in our comments under videos like that. So, or Diablo period. Maybe it's Diablo Switch or whatever they're gonna do. Diablo would be amazing on the Switch, but I think Blizzard is always working on Diablo games. They take their sweet ass time making us new Diablo games. This might be stuff for Diablo 4, which won't come out until 2022. But clearly Blizzard is hard at work on their 4 pillars, their 4 cornerstone franchises now on a constant basis. They have more than enough kind of work through all of these different verticals that they have to, keep players engaged with expansions and new iterations and new characters. But yeah, more Diablo in more places. It still blows my mind that you can't play Diablo, the sort of original Diablo and Diablo 2 on tablets. I think that's just money in the bank for Blizzard, but they must have their reasons why they haven't done that yet. Or even Diablo 3, I think, would work on the more modern tablets as well. So I wouldn't be surprised if we start to see Diablo 3 in many more places, on many more screens. Now, Bandai Namco is going to let you scratch your Dark Souls itch this fall. The publisher's new action RPG Code Vein is slated to hit consoles and the PC on September 28th. Although the game isn't made by Dark Souls developer From Software, Namco Bandai has long touted it as a spiritual successor to the franchise, offering a similar look and feel, tight combat, and brutal difficulty. Hopefully it lives up to Dark Souls. From Software, on the other hand, hasn't announced their next big project, but E3 is right around the corner. We sure get a lot of Dark Souls-alikes these days, don't we? Dark Souls has influenced so many titles out there. You could say that the more recent God of War was heavily influenced by Dark Souls. Are we getting too many of these kinds of games? I think that hardcore gamers and developers that have been building games for a long time looked at Dark Souls and said, oh my God, this is such a brilliant, brand new kind of take on this sort of crawling genre, this dungeon crawling genre, that it's heavily influenced our industry. I love those games too, but, full confession, they are so brutally difficult, I get frustrated. I just feel like I don't progress enough in my playtimes with these things, and I've thrown many hours at Dark Souls, but I'm not very good at them. And it breaks my heart to reveal that to all of you, but I think there's many of us in that camp. But I love the design ethos and the idea of sort of scratching and crawling and just working your butt off to get anywhere in a game, and then being rewarded for doing that, and plus all the bragging rights that you have as well. But clearly From Software, they struck a nerve, and they made something that has made many people very, very happy, and we're going to start to get a lot more different variations on a theme out there, and that's okay. One thing that I would say is that when you have a game like God of War, which takes heavy influence from that, but sort of twists it and tweaks it and makes it even a little more accessible, that's remarkable to see as well. So we'll see how Code Vein turns out, but right now, it's time for This Day in Everything Cool. Welcome to This Day and Everything Cool for June 5th. On this day in 1995, one of the best RPGs ever made landed stateside. The JRPG Earthbound was released in North America on the Super Nintendo following its release in Japan the previous year. The game was actually called Mother 2 in its home country, serving as a sequel to the 1989 NES game Mother, but since that was never released outside of Japan, Nintendo renamed the game Earthbound for its North American debut. The story focuses on a young boy named Ness who battles a mysterious alien force called Gygus, and the game is notable for exploring dark and cerebral themes that contrast with its colorful visuals, upbeat music, and silly sense of humor. Unfortunately, despite critical praise, Earthbound sold poorly in North America, and as such, it was the only game in the series released in English-speaking territories until 2015. That's when Nintendo released the first game on the Wii U Virtual Console. A third game in the series, Mother 3, launched on the Game Boy Advance in 2006, but is yet to be given an official release worldwide. Nintendo, this is your semi-annual plea from your friends at the Electric Playground to make us more earthbound, if you will. I think the chat would agree with me on that. Hey, Tyler Fisher. Hi, Paul Casilio. Don't worry that you're a little bit late. You're here, bud. That's awesome. Bruce Wayne is here. Bruce, love your work. Corey Reed, Doy Owen, Paul Adamson, Ken Ginsberg. What is the topic? Indeed. On Electric Playground? Many topics. We never get bored around here. We talk about all kinds of fun things. Nintendo Boy 17. Somebody was talking, I think it was Nintendo Boy 17, talking about Kelly Marie Tran quitting Instagram last night. I think it was all over the social medias. That's just awful. I feel terrible for that lady. I feel like fanboys and girls, haters, you just got to cool it, man. Embrace people that are coming into the fandom and the lore. You might not have liked The Last Jedi, but don't dump all your hatred on a person like that. That's awful, man. And that's just terrible news, and I feel bad for her, and hopefully this stuff blows over And clearly she's a part of the lore and she's a part of the world now. And if she's in episode 9, hopefully we all love the movie and we love her part in it. And, she can find some joy in all of this, because she should have joy in all of this. She's been cast in a Star Wars movie. It's incredible. Jordan Cunningham, great to see you. And Adrian Leon, great to see you too. It's fantastic that you're all here. Thank you so much for supporting us. David Chapman, how are you? You're talking about Vampire. I can't wait to play Don't Nod's Vampire. I have been pretty busy, though. I've been playing a lot of stuff and seeing some movies, and I've got a review for you right now of the Street Fighter 30th Anniversary Edition. I don't know what's been going on, but it seems like the video game industry is in full-on retro mode right now. We just had the Sega Genesis Collection, we got the Mega Man Legacy 1 and 2, and now we've got the Street Fighter Anniversary Collection from Capcom. And this collects a bunch of Street Fighter games that appeared in arcades, mostly throughout the 1990s. But it also includes the very first Street Fighter game, which, full confession, I had never played until this collection. And it's not a good game. That original Street Fighter title is pretty hard to play. It just feels like all of your button presses and all of your maneuvers and stuff like that are clunky and sort of a little bit out of time, and they, literally and figuratively, and it just feels like it sticks out like a sore thumb. It's great that it's included in there just for historical significance, but it's just not that fun to play. What is fun to play is Street Fighter 2 On, and these are arcade ports. Digital Eclipse handled the job here, and these guys are masters at bringing, classic code and classic ROMs into the modern age. They've done this before with several games in the past, and they know what they're doing. They get pixel perfect, and they get the precision that you want out of these fighting experiences. And it's really cool to see the Street Fighter 2 franchise kind of evolve in this interactive form. And you see it get a little faster. You see the rosters get bigger. You see some of the combos and some of the details and your fighting mechanics kind of improve and get a little flashier. And then, of course, we get into the Alpha series, and you get Street Fighter Alpha 1, 2, and 3. And then you also get, for my money, I think the most exciting part of this whole collection, Street Fighter 3 up to Third Strike as well. And I was just really blown away by Street Fighter 3. And what's interesting with these games is that by the time Street Fighter 3 was hitting the market, I was really starting to move into, 3D fighters like Soul Calibur and Tekken and Virtua Fighter and Dead or Alive. And I was getting more excited about the sort of the representation of 3D sort of design in fighting experiences. So I didn't spend a lot of time playing the Street Fighter 3 titles. But when you see these games now in retrospect, and you see the progression from the very first Street Fighter title with its rudimentary animations and its very slim roster, and it's just really kind of primitive kind of look and feel, up to the third iteration of Street Fighter 3, and you see the fluidity and you see these crazy character creations with lots of great details and all of these incredible backgrounds, and just the animation and the fluidity and the flashy special effects that are on screen. You're really blown away. You're just absolutely dumbfounded by the talent that Capcom was able to bring in, and also the way that they, shepherded this franchise and just made it evolve. And even though the industry, the video game industry, was really shifting away, it's impressive that they stuck true to their roots, and they said, no, we can make sprite stuff that's going to stand up to any of the 3D polygonal things that are out there on the market. And what's interesting is if you look at Street Fighter 3 Third Impact, and I think it came out in 1999 or something like that, and you compare that to the polygonal fighters out there, this is a better looking game. And I did play this game on both the Nintendo Switch and the PlayStation 4, and I found that the Pro Controller on the Switch was really difficult to pull off some of the combos and stuff like that. So if you're going to be playing it on the Switch, I think and you're just a crazy, fighting game fan, I think it's time for you to kind of look at potentially getting a fighting stick. The PlayStation 4 D-pad, while not perfect, felt a little bit more comfortable, and I was able to pull off some of the combos and special moves and things like that with that controller. And I didn't really find a big quality disparity in terms of visuals or features or anything like that. It's kind of too bad that this is the 30th anniversary collection, but it kind of ends in the 2D era of Street Fighter. I kind of feel like there still needs to be this definitive collection of all of the arcade games that have been released up to that point, all on one disc. And the other thing that is missing in this collection are video interviews with the key creative people that have been involved with Street Fighter. And I think that it would be interesting to not just talk with the developers, but also a lot of the marketers and a lot of the people that kind of help to kind of paint the picture of Street Fighter for fighting game fanatics out there. I think it would be great to talk with players that were awesome at Street Fighter 2 in the 90s and show off some of the arcades and stuff. There's really a ripe opportunity to show the culture around Street Fighter in significant ways with a release like this, and I feel like that's a bit of a missed opportunity. There is some incredible historical documents and art and stuff like that you can cycle through on here. There's this interactive timeline that gives you all kinds of details about the artistic progression of this franchise and some of the marketing assets that were created. There's music included in this as well. There's character sort of descriptions and bios for all of this stuff. It's educational to kind of surf through all of that. It's educational to kind of go from game to game and see the progression, but it's also tremendously fun and so valuable and such a worthwhile project to collect this stuff. When franchises do this, when they are able to survive for 20, 30 years, I think it's so important and so incumbent on the game publishers to get that collection right and to do the best that they can to kind of present this work, this artistic work, to gamers and to the world out there. And even though we've moved on and things like Street Fighter V and Soul Calibur 6 comes out this year, when you kind of look back at the efforts and the love that was poured into this franchise, it's hard not to be just taken aback, and just appreciate the value of this medium and this work, and all of these different creators. And the one thing about Street Fighter that has always impressed me is the community around it. And I've been to tournaments and, I've been to many events where Street Fighter has been celebrated over my career. And it's just an important cultural work, and I just think it's marvelous. More could have been added, for sure. It's hard not to quibble. And it's hard not to kind of, say, well, why isn't that and why isn't that? But still, this is worth your money. It's worth your investment. It's pretty rad that you can play it on the Switch and carry it around with you. And you've got all these awesome classic arcade games wherever you go. But this is great no matter where you get it, on the PlayStation 4, Xbox, PC. It's absolutely worth your money. It's worth your time. This is pretty wonderful stuff. I'm going to give the Street Fighter 30th Anniversary Collection 8.5 out of 10. Ah, yes, an incredible collection. Thank you for that, Capcom. Okay, we have got another fighting game queued up for you, but it's one that you probably haven't thought about for a long time. It's Buried Treasure. Let's take a look. Now, I know I've talked about War of the Monsters before in Buried Treasure segments in years past, but it's time to talk about this terrific game that Sony made for the PlayStation 2, which came out, I think, 2003, and then it was released again several times, but I believe it's also available for the PlayStation 4. Hooray! War of the Monsters was developed by Incognito. They were the same group of people that worked on some of the Twisted Metal stuff, so this was a different kind of, turn for that team. This was much more comical, much more campy. It's like a B-movie, but the giant monster battles are just so much fun. A lot of wrestling-type mechanics in there, lots of great archetypes, gorillas and lizards and robots, and it's just super fun to destroy the buildings. Pretty slick graphics for its time, and I think they've aged actually quite well, and still looks good on the PlayStation 4 today. And another cool thing about War of the Monsters is that in multiplayer, there was actually kind of a split-screen setup, so people could be fighting against each other, and then if they got closer together, it would merge into one. Pretty solid, right? That's a pretty good couch co-op experience right there, and also makes it worth its while tracking down, even if you're playing it on a modern system like the PlayStation 4. The controls aren't perfect, I will give you that, but the reason why this game deserves a Buried Treasure kind of mention is its cleverness and its uniqueness, and the concept is so cool that if people continue to talk about this, I feel like someone will re-explore this. Maybe a remake will be made, or a sequel of some sorts, or somebody will lift on this idea and make us the ultimate giant monster battling experience. This was a solid, super fun experience, and I just enjoyed the sense of humor and the cleverness. That's why War of the Monsters continues to be a great buried treasure. Sony, here is the semi-annual plea from your friends at the Electric Playground to bring us more War of the Monsters. You actually brought the game, the PlayStation 2 game, to the PS4. It's one of like 8 PS2 games that you could play on the PS4, and I would love more of that. That was a super cool experience. I see people talking about our event at EXP Bar this weekend. Yes, please come. Don't worry about it being busy. Come on, that's a big space. And I don't know if it's going to fill up. We've never done one of these things before, but we felt like it was a good time and we can kind of celebrate with people there. Come whatever day you can or days that you can. We're going to be there Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, live streaming the E3 press conferences. So we'll have E3 press conferences on screens around us. And of course, we'll be streaming it out to everybody so you can watch the show. It'll be EP Live. Baruti is joining me. Bear Safi, my good friend, who was fantastic last year. We had a lot of fun. And it was kind of a revelation for me because, of course, I've sat in the audience for almost every press conference that E3 has ever had right from the very beginning. And then suddenly last year we said, hey, why don't we just stay here and stream along with it? And it was great. There was a lot of fun. And you guys were all watching and chatting along with us. And we had a really good time. Now we're going to open that up to the public. And yes, we are creating a limited run of T-shirts. Probably going to only have about 100 T-shirts to sell this weekend. So because we just don't know how many people are going to come. We've never done this. If you are coming, please let us know. We're so excited. It's no cover. There will be food for sale and drinks for sale, and we're going to be there having a good time. And there'll be lots of new game reveals if Walmart hasn't leaked every single thing. And so it's going to be a super fun weekend. I'm so excited, and I hope to see some of you that can make it there. And I recognize Blair Farrell that you live on the other side of the country. It's disappointing that you're not going to be there. Maybe one day we will do something like this where we stop off in different cities across the country, across Canada, maybe some U.S. cities too. I don't know. I'd love to do that. But I'm super excited about this weekend, and I hope E3 and the game publishers have some enormous and fantastic surprises for us. I do know that Don Fubar is going to be, Jose Sanchez is going to be in the EA press conference on Saturday, up on stage doing some hosting. So it'll be fun to see that and to cheer him on, okay? You promise, everybody that likes EP, you're going to cheer on our buddy Jose Sanchez? All right. It is time for us to take a look at a very cool interview that I was able to participate in not too long ago. Our friends from Disney brought up Ted Mathot from Pixar to talk about his work on The Incredibles 2. Let's take a look.
You heard your mother, trampolining. We meet again.
The Incredibles 2 is almost upon us, and Disney and Pixar have got a treat for us. Ted Mathot actually works at Pixar, has been working on The Incredibles 2, and he's here to tell us all about it. You're in story supervision?
That's right. I'm the story supervisor for the film.
Okay, so when you talk about story for a huge animated picture like this, what are we talking about? You have to kind of put all your scene assemblage together and then you go piece by piece like that?
Well, what we want to do, so being a sequel,
Yeah.
we want to provide something that's comfortable, that's familiar for the audience because they've seen the first one, they're coming into a new one.
Yes.
But we also want to give them something new.
What? Is this all vegetables? Who wanted all vegetables?
I did.
So story-wise, this is one of the first things that Brad said to me. It's like, we want to find that fine line between familiarity and new material.
Right.
So that was one of our first story goals.
It's been 14 years since the last Incredibles movie, and that's my favorite Pixar movie, by the way. I loved it. I mean, it speaks to me. Superheroes, Michael Giacchino's kind of spy theme. I've been waiting for this announcement and waiting for this film for so long, but do you guys have any concerns that people will have, sort of lost touch with this Parr family and the stories of The Incredibles?
I hope not. I mean, people seem really excited for it, so it seems like the enthusiasm is there. I hope they haven't forgotten about us.
Give us a sense of where you guys got to kind of start this new story off. Like, what was without spoiling anything, but give us kind of a sense of how you kind of place us in the lives of these characters again.
Well, Brad's had an idea for some time about this film, and it was a partial idea, so some of it was there, some of it was not there. So we had to figure out a bunch of it, as we went along. What's interesting about this is finding the new stuff. What's the new material?
Right.
Where do we take these characters from the first film? That's always the thing that's difficult about a sequel. It's like, we did the first one, it's like, okay, we wrapped this up, we're good. And it's like, well, now we have to have more to say.
Yeah.
We need to expand these characters, and what is that? What is the arc for Bob? What is the arc for Helen? What are the arcs for the kids and the baby even?
Yeah.
Baby has an expanded role. Jack has an expanded role in this movie. So it's figuring out those things. Where are we going to take them this time?
Out of all the Pixar movies that I've seen, and I'm bugging you for more here already. You haven't given us this, but I'm already bugging you for more. But out of all the Pixar movies that I've seen, this family dynamic with these superpowers just sort of speaks to more episodes and more. You guys must have not had a shortage of ways to go and ideas.
Oh yeah, no,
Yeah.
that's just by the nature of it. You can go on endlessly if you want.
Yeah.
But one of the things that Brad was really specific about, and I like this, is that he always wants the characters to remain the same age.
Okay.
So you go online, and I'll admit I did it. I went online and I read the comments, but why are they not older? Like, we're all older, and it's been 14 years. Why are the characters not older?
Yeah.
But Brad said the characters are who they are based on that point in their lives, right? So Dash is a 10-year-old hyperactive kid. If you age him up, he's no longer Dash. He's no longer hyperactive.
Right.
So I really like that he sort of set that in stone early on, that these are who the characters are. So, at least in my mind, if we're going to do more, they would stay the same.
Okay.
Stay the same age as who they are.
So that means with this new movie, I don't think it's a big secret, but you're basically starting from the last second of the first movie, and you're pushing right forward from there, right?
That was a challenge in itself, because we never intended, at least at the time, that we'd have to follow up on that.
Yeah.
So that was one of the big challenges on this movie was, okay, now how are we going to do this? And we ran into, some problems which were unanticipated. Like, okay, they have their suits underneath. What about Vi's suit? She's wearing a short sleeve shirt, all this stuff. So that, believe it or not, was one of the more challenging aspects of this movie, is how we connect to what was there at the end of the first one.
And what about technology? I mean, you guys have advanced as a studio. If anybody's seen Coco, and I think everyone on Earth has seen Coco, it was clear that you guys have reached another level in animation and fidelity and details and stuff. But The Incredibles is 14 years old. It can't look too different from the first film, but it still has to be state of the art, right?
Right. It looks a lot different.
Yeah.
The technology is so much more advanced now than it was. But if we stay true to the characters, it will feel the same. If we stay true to the world, the feel of the world, late 50s, early 60s, characters are the same, it's going to have the same feel, and hopefully people won't be like, whoa, it looks so different from the first one. If they're thinking that, then we haven't done our job in terms of storytelling and character and all that.
What is different about the way you approach a scene, or the way that you approach the storytelling aspects of The Incredibles 2 from the first movie, do you think? I mean, Brad Bird's still running everything. It's still his baby, his concept, but what's different this time?
It's exactly the same.
Is it?
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
I mean, yeah. It's storytelling is storytelling, and the way Brad tells the story is the same. He loves spectacle. He loves big movie moments. He likes big screen and big sound, and he also likes to have a lot of humor. He likes the drama, the humor, and he also wants high stakes.
Yeah.
He wants audiences to be biting their fingernails. He wants popcorn moments. So none of that has changed. Storytelling is still the same as it always has been.
One thing that I kind of appreciate now in the sort of rear view of all of the Marvel movies and these live-action superhero things, we've got these fantastic images almost every 3 months on screen that you can't believe, but there is this freedom that you guys are allowed in animation that really sells these superheroics in interesting ways, yeah? And I guess that must be your challenge. Like, how do you top what Marvel's doing, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
We don't want to do what everybody else is doing.
Yeah.
So we strive really hard to be new and different and innovative, and a lot of that comes from our characters. They're very specific in the way that they act and how they relate to each other. A big part of The Incredibles in the first movie and in this movie is what we call the incredible versus the mundane. So we don't want to be mundane for too long without being incredible. We don't want to be incredible for too long without being mundane. It's that wonderful balance that makes these movies what they are.
It is cool because when you're watching this family, you see your family in that family. And the bickering gets uncomfortable. It gets right to the edge of like, oh my God, can these people, they're in front of their kids, can they just work it out? And I guess that's the truth of the film, right? That's why you're making the story. It's not just for the frivolity and the superheroics.
Absolutely. Yeah, there's a bit in the movie about Bob's helping Dash with his math homework,
Right.
and he's like, why would they change math?
Yeah.
And it gets a huge laugh. We showed it in audience preview, and it was one of the biggest laughs in the whole movie because people could relate.
Yeah.
They just got it.
We are recording this on May 23rd, and the movie comes out on June 15th. And you're not done.
We're done.
Or are you done? Fully done? Okay.
Yeah, we're done.
Okay, all
Done.
right.
In the can.
In the can. Okay, cool. So take us through, the gestation and the production process. How long have you guys been working on this one?
I had my first pitch with Brad. It was December of 2014.
Okay.
Very first pitch. He was at Skywalker Ranch. He was still working on Tomorrowland.
Yep.
Finishing up that film, and he said, everybody come up to Skywalker and I'm going to pitch you what I have. So we had our key people, went up, got the pitch. It was a stormy night. It was just it was funny. It was a moment,
What a place to pitch it to.
Exactly, right?
That's awesome.
Yeah, so we got the pitch, and I started working. I was the only person on it at that point. I just started storyboarding like crazy.
Yeah.
Started drawing scenes, and little by little, Brad started showing up at the studio at Pixar as he was finishing his Tomorrowland duties. And before long, we had him full time, and we were off and running.
That is awesome. Now, have you worked with Brad on previous films or, in different capacities before?
I have, yeah. So I worked on the first Incredibles,
Yeah.
and I worked on Ratatouille, and then we were in development together on a film called 1906,
Okay.
which was a live-action film about the San Francisco earthquake of that year.
So you've seen Brad's maturation and his evolution in the film community, in the film industry. Has he been, kind of different to work with on this one now that he's gone off and done some live action and learned from that whole process?
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, again, like I said before, the storytelling is the same.
Yeah.
He's the same Brad. It's more in technical aspects of how he wants to achieve things on screen. His camera language is different than it was on the first movie, having done Mission Impossible and Tomorrowland.
Yep.
He gives a lot of camera direction in storyboards, which storyboard artists are not necessarily familiar with. So you got to really, study your camera language, because he'll say, I'm boarding a scene with the family, they're having dinner, and he'll say, okay, I want you to pull the camera back and put a longer lens on it. So in terms of a drawing, it's like, what is that? What does that look like? So
What does that look like?
Well, he wants to compress the space, but he also wants it to look fairly wide. He wants to see the whole family.
Gotcha.
So you kind of have to be up on your camera language, or he might call you out on it.
That's so cool. One of the things that I noticed, because we're in this 4K age and HDR is so prevalent, and you guys have this Underminer sequence. I'm not ruining anything because you've seen the first Incredibles and you know that it picks up right from there. But the cave sequence was beautiful. Like light just filtering in perfectly, and it was just like, wow, that is just staggering. Is that something new technologically or, stylistically that you're being able to add to this? Is just like a rendering pass and a lighting pass we've never seen before?
Well, everything is much improved.
Yeah.
The lighting on this movie is just staggeringly beautiful. But yeah, that sequence. I mean, you tip your hat to the sets department and the effects department and the lighting and the art team. Ralph Eggleston, the production designer, has a lot to do with that. He's very specific about that, how he wants that light to come in. So all those departments just really banded together to make that look the way it does.
I've seen about 30 minutes of the movie so far, but I haven't seen a villain. Are you guys talking about villains, or who's popping up in this?
There's a villain.
Yeah. I guess. Do you want to? Do you want?
Screenslaver? He's in the trailer.
Okay.
So.
Who impressed you as the story was coming together that's new to the cast? Obviously we're happy to see all the returning actors and Craig T. Nelson and Sam L. Jackson, Holly Hunter. Everybody's just awesome. But who's brand new to this movie that really blew you away?
They're all great.
Yeah.
But if I had to single somebody out, I'd say Catherine Keener.
Oh yeah.
I'm just a big fan.
She's great.
of her films, and when she came on, I'm like, yeah, man, this is great.
What took so long? What took so long? Because this was clearly we were begging for this, but I guess Brad had some other things he had to do. But
I wish I had like a really like interesting, quick, fun answer to it. Like, he went off to Tibet to become a monk or something. But it's nothing like that. It's a much longer, sort of uninteresting answer.
Yeah.
As you know, he did Ratatouille.
Yeah.
We went into development on 1906. And then I actually started Incredibles 2 right around that time.
Oh, okay.
And then Brad went away and he did Mission Impossible.
When Tom Cruise calls, you pick up the phone.
Yeah. So you could put it that way.
Yes, and then George Clooney calls and you pick up the phone.
He went away to do his 2 live action films and then he came back for it. So unfortunately, I don't have like a really great, quick answer.
Well, you gave us filmography and you filled in some gaps, which is good. Are we going to have to wait this long for more, though? Which now I'm putting you on the hot seat.
I don't really know.
Yeah.
We'll see after it comes out. We'll see how well it does, and I guess that's up to Disney.
Yeah.
We'll see what they say. And
You've done 2, and I was just at Disneyland. Incredibles were everywhere. Music coming out of all the speakers. It was wonderful. You've done 2. Do you want to do more? Do you want to do more?
as we always say, I would if the story is right.
Oh, nice.
If we have a great story, absolutely.
Awesome. Well, I can't wait. The Incredibles 2 comes out on June 15th. I will be there, Ted.
Right on.
Awesome to meet you.
Great to meet you,
And
too.
good luck with the movie.
Thank you.
That turned out pretty good. That was all right. That was right down to the wire. We just put that thing together this morning, and I'm pretty happy with that. That was Ted Mathot from Pixar. Worked as a story supervisor on The Incredibles 2. It was great to talk with him. I'm a super fan of that company, of course, but also that franchise. I can't wait to see the full movie. Disney let me screen 35 minutes of the movie, and that was like, it was the biggest tease in the world. I wanted to just watch the whole thing, and then I got to interview Ted, which was really cool. So thank you, Disney, for setting all of that up. Good luck with the flick. I hope it's awesome, and we will find out soon. Unfortunately, it drops next week, right during E3, so I can't see it till I get back. And my daughter has said, and she gets a little freaked out sometimes by some of the intensity of some of the animated flicks out there. She's only 6, okay, so ease up. But she hasn't seen The Incredibles yet, but she's seen the trailers now for The Incredibles 2, and she wants to see that. So I might go take her to the theater for that, but I have to watch The Incredibles 1 with her before we do that. So I'm looking forward to that. But right now it is time for Let's Play and Chat. We are going to play a game called Wizard of Legend. This is published by the Humble Bundle folks, I think. They reached out to me and sent me a code for this. And one of my friends who used to be part of the Destructoid family, and he's worked in games journalism for a while, but he's also been a composer and a musician for a very long time. Dale North actually did the music for this. I'm sure you turned all the music off, though, didn't you, Blake?
Yes, I did.
Okay, all right. So we're not going to hear the music, but we're going to see this really cool game that I've been having a blast with. It's I believe I didn't read the info on it, but from what I've picked up from my limited playtime, I believe this is like a roguelike where the dungeons all change and you play and so you get as far as you can and then you die, and then if you die you got to start over again from scratch, kind of thing. Hello, Blake.
Hi.
And so you play as a wizard, so you have all of these cool magical spells and abilities, and you get to hack and slash your way through stuff. And
Be careful, because when I was setting this up earlier, a rock monster was chasing me.
oh, I killed him.
Oh, okay.
It's tough, though. I mean, I make it sound easy, but this is a tough game. I'm down to 55 of 500 health, and clearly it is an old-school looking game, but there's a lot of sophistication in the control. Oh, now I'm down to 20. I was dumb.
Did you stand right next to the barrel?
Yeah, I'm just blindly hacking and slashing away.
You knew it was going to blow up.
Yes, I know. Oh, geez. So I have these speed booth things, and I can shoot fireballs dead. Okay, well, that's good. We'll go back to the beginning, and I can
Off
show
to a great start.
Yeah, I can show you the opening bits, which is really cool. So you start off in this kind of Hogwarts kind of environment, and everything's destructible, and it breaks apart into little bits and pieces, which I like. And then you pick up coins and stuff. I lost all my coins, but I retained my gems. And the two currencies come into play, when you're deciding to buy new spells and new abilities and relics and things like that. So Tomi is my ancient tome, and I can change my powers, not my basic one, but I can change because I haven't unlocked it yet, but I can change my dash power from an air burst to a frost feint, but I've upgraded my air burst, so I'm going to stay with air burst. And then my standard attack, I've got the Dragon Dive, which actually hasn't been that cool. I'm going to go back to my Fire Dragon Arc, which is really slick.
This game was released simultaneously on the PC and Switch, I think, right? Pretty sure it was just released on the PC as well.
Oh yeah, not on the other consoles?
Let me check.
Okay. I think it's everywhere, but it's done really well. Like people are, it's done very well on Steam. I see Dale's one of my Facebook friends, so I see him just flipping out, and his soundtrack's available for sale too, and it's been selling, and he's been doing very well. This has given him a nice boost because he essentially quit his career in sort of covering video games to pursue his dream of being a composer in the video game industry. And he's been working nonstop, and I think he's got a bunch of things out and a bunch of new stuff on the way, so I'm very happy for him.
You're right, it is on the PS4 and Xbox One as well.
Yeah, I think it's everywhere. Okay.
But the cool thing is it came out on everything at the same time.
Yeah, so good job on the developers. They built a super cool game. So you go and talk to peeps, and they tell you they've got some creations here that will help you. These cards are basically spells and abilities and things like that. Creeping tendrils. So I don't have enough. I've only got 5, so I can't buy anything. But there's these relics augment your powers a little bit.
Is this town the hub?
This
area?
is I don't know exactly where I am. I feel like I'm in like the castle area before I shoot to the dungeon.
Okay.
And so you can go and have little conversations with people. You can change your outfits. Of course, it's a roguelike, so everything's randomly crafted for you every time, but you can accumulate some wealth and then use it to spend before you go off and try your luck again. So I haven't gotten too far, or I've only played it a little bit, so I've not actually fought that boss or anything like that.
Is that the whole game right there?
Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the dungeons are quite large, and this is a tough game, as you will see.
Hey Vic, excited about E3 at EXP. See you on Monday. That's from Warco 8.
Warco, can't wait, man. This is going to be amazing.
Yeah.
What's really cool, I mean, I wish we could be in other cities. And, I hear from people saying, why aren't you in Toronto? And I wish we could do that. Maybe next year we do something like that.
If you live in Toronto and want to put us up for a couple nights, if you got a big spare bedroom, that'd be great.
You know what we need is we need a sponsor that gets what Electric Playground is, can do, and will be, and says, look, we want you here. We want you at our event here. And
So
then
zombie there.
yeah, and then we will do stuff like that. I am big on this idea of doing our content with people. I've done a little bit of that with Vancouver Film School, and I've loved it. And I feel it's kind of like the next evolutionary step for what we're doing. Just like EP Live really feels like a distillation of a lot of things learned,
This game is called Wizard of Legend.
Yes. And I know it looks like a lot of games, but it's truly cool.
How does it feel? In your
Feels
hand when you
great.
play it?
Yeah, it feels great. The controls are very solid and very fluid. It's very violent and fast for a cutesy thing like this, But look, I'm getting my ass kicked already.
I feel like most 8-bit retro-looking games nowadays are harder than average. You know what I mean? Like, 'cause
Yeah.
they're always like Super Meat Boy. And
Well, this is
Powerful.
the roguelike, yes, and
yeah,
Celeste.
They're,
and
they're
stuff
always
like
like indie games that are really punishingly hard.
Yeah, and that's on
Cuphead,
purpose.
another one.
It's I think it's a question of not designing the thing too large, but designing it to challenge you over and over again. Not crafting levels forever and ever.
Oh, one thing we should say, EXP Bar, where we're hosting EP next week.
Yep.
Or next weekend.
This weekend.
This weekend.
Yes.
It's if you're in the Vancouver area, it's right next to a SkyTrain station.
There, that's good.
So it's very easy to get to.
Oh, I'm
Right?
good.
It's
Oh,
like
no,
it's like a 5-minute walk
I
from
fell off
the Stadium Chinatown SkyTrain station.
Yeah, it's right on Pender Street. And it's a video game bar, in case people didn't know, but they're all about celebrating the video game industry.
They
And,
got Mario all over the walls.
yeah, and so we're going to have a pretty cool background, and our thought is we're going to have viewers of the E3 conferences behind us. So if you come, you will likely be in front of the camera, and we'll probably get some interviews and stuff like that. And on Sunday, I think what the plan is we're going to do some game tournament type thing. And we're still figuring out what we're going to do exactly, but there's a break between the Xbox conference and the Bethesda conference, so we're going to stick around and keep streaming and keep interacting with people and playing some games. Probably some Mario Kart will be in there. I wish Mario Tennis was ready. I didn't even talk about this, but anybody play the Mario Tennis freebie tournament thing on the weekend on the Switch?
I was actually going to ask you that.
It was awesome. It was so good.
I like that Nintendo does these demo things.
It was so intense. I was getting my ass kicked in that, man. Like, I felt like, okay, I got this. I would get one guy, might get two. And then the third, I'm like, oh my god, how does this guy know all the moves already, you know?
It's like that anytime you play any game online.
Yeah.
Who's this guy in the hoodie in the painting there on your wall?
I don't know, he's a buddy. Buddy's destroyed it.
One of the developers, maybe?
I feel like there's homages to Harry Potter like crazy in this thing. Okay. I think, that's just my first blush kind of thinking around this. Okay, so let's hop into our dungeon. Let's see if I can do a little bit better this time. This is a game that does require your concentration and some twitchy skill.
Timberwolf says, Blake, you can stay at my place in Ontario if I can stay at your place for this EPN event. Sure. I have a big couch. Jordan Cunningham says, oh my god, I got to see this EXP bar next time I come to Vancouver.
Faramer is saying, so I may have missed this. When and where is the live reactions for E3 press conferences starting? It starts basically timed with every one of the conferences. EA on Saturday, and then Xbox and Bethesda on Sunday, and then on Monday it's Square, Ubisoft, and PlayStation. And then on Tuesday, Blake and I are hopping on a plane and going to Los Angeles for E3.
So the only one we're going to miss is Nintendo. Yeah,
we won't have any live reaction stuff on Nintendo. That'll be in our Tuesday rundown. I guess we'll talk about what's going on that way. As far as the EP live streams, we'll probably have we'll probably start and do a pre-show like 30 minutes before each of those press conferences start. And we're going to be at the EXP bar, if you're just tuning in.
So we haven't said it 5 times already.
EXP bar on Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, June 9th, 10th, 11th in Vancouver.
Downtown Vancouver.
Which is in Pender Street.
Right near Gastown.
Yes. And we've never done this before. We've never done like real meetups or anything like that. I did a meetup once when we were producing the Lab with Leo Laporte, but it was his meetup, and that was cool. But,
I remember that.
Yeah, but we haven't really done that. Of course, we've met people at Fan Expo and the cons and PAX and stuff like that, but we've never done one of these things, and it's exciting. It's going to be super cool. It was cool to go and make an actual EPN shirt, which I've posted some pictures of and stuff like that, but that's actually in production, and knock on wood, it will all be ready, and they'll be up for sale at the event.
I have a question, Vic. Mm-hmm. Why is the official EP t-shirt not plaid?
Maybe in the future we'll have a plaid one.
It seems so inappropriate.
Holy crap. This game does not take it easy on you.
Faramer, is there a chance we're going to get a teaser for Horizon Zero Dawn 2?
I think too soon.
I think we'll get a teaser.
You think?
I think so, yeah. I don't think there won't be any gameplay. It'll be a quick,
too soon.
Nothing but teaser. It came out more than a year ago, Vic. A teaser now for late 2019 as a release? I think that's not too soon.
I would say that's a 2020 game, because it has to be...
So that means we could get a teaser.
And I think I'm dead already. I think it's probably a PlayStation 5 game. I think that's the next game.
But that doesn't mean we're not going to get a teaser, because we got teasers for games.
True.
Like we got the first God of War teaser 2 years before it came out.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
I think we'll see an animated teaser.
I mean, I'll be freaking, and you'll see my live reaction if they do that. I'll be like, oh my god!
It's not going to be called Horizon Zero Dawn 2. It'll be called Horizon something else.
New Horizon.
It'll be called Horizon 2 Dawn.
Over the horizon.
Horizon Zero Afternoon.
Afternoon. Just afternoon.
Torrente. What is Torrente?
Torrente is a terrible game based on an Italian pig cop. He just looks like a pig. Do
I know this game?
It was an old... It's based off of a movie franchise, and they made a PC game. And Tommy and I reviewed it, and for some of the game, I think it was the menu screen.
I remember this game. I remember you guys reviewing this.
Yes, we had to move I think it was Tommy and I that reviewed this thing. We had to move a cursor around and it was a fly swatter, and there was a fly zipping around the screen. I think that's the way that that was the HUD basically, or the user interface to get into the game, and that was the least annoying part of the game. It was pretty awful.
It has a page on crappy games wiki.
Does it? Yeah. Look at that, man! I've got 13 gems. I can almost buy some stuff.
Rolling.
Yes.
Just throwing out those gems.
I'm rolling
Making
in
it rain with
gems,
gems.
baby. Rolling.
Question from Warco: is Devolver doing an E3 presentation?
Yes, they are.
It's probably going to be another troll presentation.
Yeah, it's not going to be like a. Those guys don't take it.
Stop cheering.
seriously.
You're journalists.
Yeah.
Devolver, you know what? Have we talked about what Devolver does for E3? Because they never have space in actual E3.
Well, I usually interview Mike Wilson at.
Yeah. So what they do is they rent out a parking lot across the street from E3.
Yeah.
And they have like barbecue and free booze.
Yeah.
Because Devolver wants to be like the cool kids.
They are the cool kids.
Yeah.
They have such amazing taste. The people that choose the games that they publish.
Yeah.
They find
I
incredible
just think it's
titles.
cute because it's like we're the cool kids. Come have beer when you're done with nerdy E3.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I just think it's funny.
They're the anti-corporate video game publisher.
Yeah.
They are up with people and sharing the wealth with the developers and stuff. I dig those guys, man.
Tyler Fisher,
Good
will the E3 streams be uploaded later? Or is it live only? No, we'll have.
Oh, yeah, it'll all be.
It'll be archived.
Yep.
We got to give those copyright bots something to flag.
Yeah, what sucks about those streams is that they all have licensed music in them like crazy, because that's the way they hype them up. So every one of those things gets a million flags.
Yeah.
usually.
Last year we couldn't monetize any of them.
Yeah.
Because they all had
Yeah.
like Star Wars music and whatnot.
Not like the monetization brings in tons of money, but it does suck when you put work into these things and it's like, oh, okay, I guess we're not supposed to make any money on on the amount of work that we just did there. That's why we err on the side of caution and usually take the music out of the games when we stream.
Better safe than sorry.
Yeah. Okay. So this one I only have 64, so I can't even buy anything anyways. But I think you can. Oh, I can. I can choose one. Let's talk to him. Choose wisely, my friend. These relics come at a certain price. Okay. So don't let your greed for power become your downfall. So my choices are an army of envy, overpriced insurance, horned halo. What do you think I should do?
Well, what was the warning? Don't let.
I did it.
Oh, shit.
Overpriced insurance.
Well, I was gonna give you good advice, Vic, but apparently you didn't need it.
I didn't mean to. I was trying to hack something but it was also the choose this button.
I have a question from Blair Farrell.
Okay.
Do you have any thoughts on the Square Enix Marvel game possibly being an Ultimate Alliance reboot?
Oh, it won't be that.
Yeah, no, it's
going to be a third-person action, like pull out all the stops, try to compete with Arkham kind of
like the type of game that
massive thing.
Marvel should have been making for the last 10 years. kind of
Yeah,
game.
I mean, it won't be easy to build that because of the abilities of these characters. But yeah, I doubt very much it will be a top-down action RPG type thing. I think it's going to be epic. Crystal D is a developer that always kind of shoots for the fences, or, you know, when they build their titles technically. And I think that's exactly what Marvel is looking for. They don't want to be the also-rans anymore in this space, which is awesome because for so long they were so tepid and, you know, timid. Except for Shattered Dimension, which is still Shattered Dimensions, which is still one of the best superhero video games I've ever played.
Because when they started the MCU with Iron Man and Hulk,
Yes.
they had big AAA games, but they were terrible.
They were way worse than they should have been.
Yeah.
They weren't awful.
They weren't like the worst games ever. No, but they weren't
should have
good.
been way better.
They should have been better. Yeah, and it kind of tarnished the brand for a bit.
I died again. This just in.
This is the type of game where you die over and over
It's
again.
very hard. Yes.
That's what happens in video games.
Okay, so Cardus Prime. What is this one? Oh, I don't have enough. Aqua Arc Basic. I don't have any other basics. Let me just go see what the other things are here.
Nintendo Boy, yeah, Vic and I both have Steam. And are you on GOG, Vic?
I'm not on GOG, no.
Yeah, I've never used GOG either, because I can play Half-Life 2 on Steam, so I don't need any other platform. That's the only game I ever play ever, and Switch games. But yeah, no, Vic and I are both on Steam.
So I think what I'm going to go for is my basic attack here, my Aqua Mark. Okay, I can equip this. Oh, there's something else here. Oh, I only have 7. Okay, so I go to my Tomy, and I chose a different basic attack. So I've been slashing, but now I have this guy. So what does that do? So this is my new attack. Oh, cool.
Oh, you're like Frozone from Incredibles.
Yeah, I'm like Frozone. Good connection.
I just rewatched that recently.
The movie?
Yeah,
It's
Incredibles.
incredible. Yeah.
It's incredible.
It is. It's incredible. Where did you see it?
On iTunes.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I think I have the DVD. I don't think I have the Blu-ray, so I'm thinking of buying the iTunes thing, but it's $25.
I rented it on iTunes.
Okay.
So it was like $5.
Okay.
But it's the movie itself. It looks a bit dated. The lighting and the textures are a little old.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And in a way, I don't know if it was the style of the movie was supposed to kind of look polished and like 50s futurist.
Yeah.
But
So a little less on the textures and
yeah,
stuff?
it seems a bit. I don't know. Like you compare it to Monsters Inc., which came out around
Right.
the same time. The first Monsters Inc. still looks good.
Right.
Incredibles, there's a couple scenes that don't really look that good.
Yeah.
It's still a great movie, but
I think it's quite a bit older. It's 14 years older. That's 2000.
it came out around the same time as Monsters Inc. I think. Or a year later.
2004, man.
Let me see. Incredibles.
I do play the PC every once in a while, but I have to admit, it's just way easier to move the consoles around and to play the consoles and to stream right off of the consoles if I'm playing in my own game cave and stuff. This is replying to Farimer. And everything comes out on the consoles as well, you know? And honestly, a big part of why I was playing the PC stuff over the last couple of years has been VR, and the VR stuff has been cool, but it hasn't, like, I think I've played most of the big, super sort of worthy, awesome VR titles. I know there's some I haven't, but I've played a big chunk of them and talked about them on the channel. And a big chunk of those are also on PlayStation VR as well. I love the PC, and I've actually been thinking about getting a new one, and that's also part of it as well, is that it's time for us to upgrade some PCs to game on, and it's a lot of money.
That's the problem with PC gaming.
Yeah, it's a lot of dough. Like I start to price it out. I talked to a vendor not too long ago. It's like, okay, how much would like a really decent PC cost for me to be able to play stuff? And he says $3,000, and I'm like, well, you know, that's like 6 PlayStations right there.
You could buy 10 Nintendo Switches for that.
Yeah, and I don't know. There is tons, and I do have a gaming PC. It's not awesome now. It's a few years old.
How sad is that? You buy an awesome gaming PC, and then a few years later, it's not awesome anymore.
Yeah. What I would really like is a fantastic gaming laptop that I could do some editing on and stuff. But then when I'm traveling, I could also, stream from and play PC stuff on there. I feel like I'm not missing tons of PC games. I think the genre that I'm definitely not playing enough of is strategy stuff. I'd love to play more Total War and things like that. But I definitely have my plate pretty full with lots of games to talk about and review and play. I died.
Johnny McFly wants to know if
Yeah.
we're going to see gameplay from Death Stranding at E3.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think we're getting an on-stage demo with.
Kojima himself.
Yeah. I think so.
Yeah.
He's going to play it. There's a Reddit leak that of the whole PlayStation.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah, and I don't know if it's.
So there's
if it's
another
legit.
E3 leak?
Yeah.
Why is there so many leaks with this E3, Vic?
I don't know.
This is like the year of the leak.
I know, man. It's not just from one company either. It's
Yeah,
from
it's like
everybody.
every company. It's like every other company's, well, I guess we've got to leak our stuff too.
So I've got increased gold, my glove of Midas artifact. So hopefully that helps. And then I've got this blue.
So you're like
orb that
Goldfinger.
Speeds me up. But
You're like Goldfinger. You got the Midas touch.
let's see. Let's find out.
Comment, graphics cards are crazy expensive right now due to shortage.
Yes, Mondo Blasto. Right there, like if I was to upgrade, I feel like it wouldn't just be like I'd buy a card. I'd want a whole new PC and I don't know. It just seems like a crazy big
expensive,
expense. Yeah.
Like, to me, I can never. It's an expense I can never justify.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, except that it all comes out in the game prices because the PC prices are way cheaper
Are they
than the
really?
console game prices. Way cheaper.
Like $10.
No, and they all go on sale, and Steam has these massive sales and stuff like that. I mean, they have fully embraced digital distribution on the PC, and eventually the consoles will sort of correlate with that, but they're still dealing with the physical release of games and having not to alienate their brick and mortar partners and stuff, right? That's why everything's way more expensive on the PC. Okay. Now I will shut up and try to play.
Tyler Fisher, I've never played Gary's mod for Half-Life. I'm too old for that shit.
You're too old for that shit?
I'm just kidding.
What does that make me?
Actually, no, I have played. I guess I played Day of Defeat, which is a Half-Life mod.
Yeah.
So yeah. I'm not a big PC gamer, even though I love Half-Life. I've never been a big PC gamer.
Did you? Oh, this thing's crazy. I don't quite know what to do. It's a pinata.
You gotta break it.
I gotta break it, but a combo breaker. I have to kill him before he heals himself, and I think I have to be more powerful, is what it is, because he starts to heal himself, right? Like,
Yeah.
you see, he
What does he say? Blast me away with a strong.
yeah.
Well, it's
like-
nice that he's telling you how to defeat him.
Yeah, I gotta kill him before he wakes up, basically.
Read what he's saying. What is he saying?
He,
I think you gotta use a con to work quicker than.
you'll have to work quicker than that.
I think you have. Before though, he was saying something about a combo, so I think you gotta use your combos on him.
Well, that's just pressing all my buttons.
Is it? There's no like fancy combo you
I
can do
don't
to like.
think so. No.
What happens if you smash that barrel with the balloons?
$6. Oh, almost got him. Out of stars. You have to work it. Yeah, I can't do this. I tried this for like half an hour. All right. Where do I go? Oh, this way.
Does anyone else remember Sphinx and the Cursed Mummy?
Oh yeah.
What is that? I don't remember it.
It was a Eurocom game on the original Xbox and PlayStation 2. I don't have enough dough. Always out of money. Haven is the game that I was thinking of too, where the guy had a goatee like mine, and Tommy always said, "Is that Vic on the box?" He was always making fun of that. But Sphinx and the Cursed Mummy, I can't remember what the characters were, but it was like obviously an ancient Egypt set platformer. It was fun. It was solid. I think. Did you play as a mummy in that game, or were you fighting a mummy?
That's the cover there.
Okay.
Looks like you play. Looks like you're fighting a mummy.
Okay.
I never played this game. Never heard of it.
Yeah, it was cool. It was a fun game. That seems worthy of a buried treasure mention. I have to kind of reboot that sucker up there.
Corey Reed wants to know what your favorite game of 2018 is so far.
God of War, by far. It's incredible. It's not only my favorite game, I think it's the best storytelling of 2018 so far. And that was one of my big complaints about Detroit Become Human. I think a lot of people really love that game, and I don't mean to offend anybody that if they do, I think it's great that people love it. But I just didn't find the story at all big enough or exciting enough or revolutionary enough for me to, give away all of my control, basically. Like you really are, they really take away the stuff that you can do. Well, they just never give it to you. So you feel very hemmed in on where you can walk and what you can interact with. And,
That's every Quantic Dream game.
Yeah, and the story didn't justify that amount of, lack of control. It's like I applaud that they tried that, just like I said in my review. But when I compared it to the incredibly emotional and beautiful storytelling that was expertly performed in God of War, and all of the combat systems and the awesome fidelity of the experience, it just didn't hold a candle to that, and Detroit felt very pedestrian, at the end of it. And I think it's because of another thing, and I brought this up on the review too, and I don't mean to be dogging Detroit because, people do love the thing, but I have been inundated with cyberpunk, with Blade Runner and Altered Carbon and Westworld and Battlestar. Like, there's been so many stories like that where they're humanizing the artificial intelligence around us. And it was just done with more elegance in other places.
It's hard to be original when you're telling a story that's been told so many times.
Yes, and Adriana's right. I didn't like the story bracket thing in Detroit. I didn't like it in my face. Just like when you and I streamed the demo.
Yeah, you didn't like it there.
And
either.
honestly, that scene is the best scene in the game.
Is it really?
Yeah, I think that scene is the most you become emotionally tied to the characters as you go, but I think the reason why that was chosen as the demo is that it is the most satisfying in isolation, and it kind of shows the best case on the experience, and it's just fun to be the detective in a thrilling or what are those people called?
The hostage negotiator.
Yeah, hostage negotiator / detective in a situation like that. This guy's coming up.
It's the Rock Monster.
And there's some really well performed stuff and beautifully animated stuff that equals that scene, but I don't think it ever is beaten, especially as a total experience. It's a great beginning. Of course, I played that thing 4 times because I played it at E3 and a couple times, and I played it on the stream, and I played it again after that when I played the game. And I was like, okay, I get this.
I have a question from Johnny McFly.
Yeah.
Since Square Enix is having their own press conference, do you think we'll see a new Deus Ex game?
Not yet. No, not yet.
We just asked them.
They're focusing on getting Shadow of the Tomb Raider out the door this year.
Because this Eidos Montreal, which made Deus Ex, or the most recent Deus Ex games, is making the new Tomb Raider games, so they're busy with that. So yeah, we're not going to see a new Deus Ex. And when we interviewed them in Montreal last month or the month before, we asked them about that, and they said we're thinking about it, but it's...
And honestly, if that's another game where you compare the storytelling and the augmentations and the artificial intelligence, that's a better game. Both of the Deus Ex games are better than Detroit. Yeah. And gave you a cooler story with more interesting characters and
much more interactive.
Nuance. And you had a ton of agency in those games.
You weren't tied into this tiny little.
Totally. Yeah. So I have to be careful here again, I think.
Yeah, the Quantic Dream games. It's like these could just be movies,
I loved Heavy Rain though. Heavy Rain was amazing. Was good,
but even that, it was like, does this need to be a video game?
No.
Right?
No.
It's basically an interactive cutscene.
What do I want, guys? Large red button?
Overpriced insurance, large red button, or...
I'm going to pick the button.
What was the other one?
Ooh.
Broken plaque.
Flask. So
it's kind of like Super Meat Boy. They don't tell you what things do.
No. Yeah,
just gotta grab it.
There's definitely a Super Meat Boy kind of vibe to this. I have to run pretty soon to go pick up my kids, so I'm gonna say five more minutes on the stream.
Vic, have you played Hellblade?
I've played some of it. I didn't play enough of it that I could do the review. I was enjoying what I did play. I think what happened is I got stuck in an area and I kept trying to figure it out and I couldn't, and then I got the next code and started playing that game and started reviewing it, so I didn't go back to Hellblade. I would like to go back and finish it and tell you guys what I think, even if it's super delayed. But yeah, super cool. I love Ninja Theory, an incredible developer. And I love the story around Hellblade as well.
Okay, on that topic of codes, I have a question from Wizard of Loneliness.
Okay.
This is Wizard of Legend, Wizard of Loneliness.
Yes.
Big question. Since the rise of YouTube reviews and handing out codes, does it feel like YouTube has become even more of an echo chamber, and then EPN is the only place talking about different kinds of games?
You know what? I don't know. Like, I don't spend tons of time checking out what other people are doing.
You've talked about this in broad strokes for the whole industry, though. Being an echo chamber, right?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like the business should be doing as much as it can to humanize all of it, humanize the discussion and be inclusive, and not just being focused on what the pack is doing. I think it's awesome for games like Fortnite and Minecraft to have these communities that will just watch endless hours of video content around those things, but that would drive me literally insane to just be playing one thing forever like that, which is clear because my career has been about many, many things and talking about all kinds of stuff, and I don't know, I think you just have to be kind of true to yourself. Whatever, like if you're choosing to be a consumer or choosing to, spend time watching whatever, or if you're making content, just believe in what you're doing, man, because you're going to be spending a lot of time with this stuff. And I tell this to producers all the time. It's like, Do you really want to make this your job? Do you love this subject matter? Do you love these topics? Do you love what you're going to do so much that you're going to see your life tick away as you're doing it? Because that's the choice you make, you know? You could just choose to make money in lots of different ways, or choose to spend your money in lots of different ways, and your time in lots of different ways. And I think you just kind of have to believe in it. So that's always been my philosophy with EP, is just like do what I feel is right with it, you know? And that's also why I don't spend a lot of time kind of looking over my shoulder or thinking about the way other people are doing stuff.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
Someone wants to know, what do you want from the new Splinter Cell game? That's another one of the worst kept secrets of E3, is that there's going to be a new Splinter
I was
Cell.
a fan of the last couple of Splinter Cell games. I like the new guy that they hired. I know that it's going to be Ironside again. I love the Ironside games too. I just want, I want to be surprised, you know? I want to be surprised, but I don't want to be shocked in a bad way about some of the choices. Like, this happens too with game development, right? Like, I don't want there to be a Splinter Cell Battle Royale game. Can I say that? I don't necessarily want a Splinter Cell, you can build your own world and it's a survival crafting game. You know, like
Sam Fisher gets dropped into it and he has to build his own base.
Yeah, I want it to feel contemporary and a part of the world that we're living in. Espionage is a huge element of our news. And I think that there's lots of fodder there for these guys to craft an intelligent story that feels mature and just feels fun and awesome. I think that's going to be it for the game stream for us today. But I love the Splinter Cell games. Those games blew me away. I was at UB Montreal when they revealed the very first one to the world, and they showed us, and I was like, oh my God, I can't believe these animations. I've been a fan. I've been a fan ever since.
Okay, thanks, everyone.
I have, thank you, Blake. I've been burnt out on Destiny, 2,400 hours. I don't think I can play any online MMO games like Destiny. See, that's what happens too, right? Like, you can just get so obsessed about one particular thing. And frankly, like, I feel like my work on EP kind of saved my life that way, you know? Like, I probably could have been too obsessed about one type of thing and just focused on one game over and over again. I don't know, though. When I was a kid, before EP, I used to spend a lot of money on all kinds of games for all the systems that I own, and I always own multiple game systems. But I think it's healthy to it's totally cool to be obsessed about something and to get really good at something, but it's also healthy to diversify and to have lots of interests and to read, get some screen time, go outside and go for a walk, you know, watch a movie, watch a documentary, be entertained and educated about something. And then I think every one of those pieces, all I can say is what I've discovered for myself, but every one of those pieces, when you go to them, they get a little bit more enjoyable, you know? And that's why I love doing this, guys. That's why I love talking with Ted from Pixar today and reviewing the games and checking out the movies and TV shows and streaming some stuff and chatting with you. It's a real privilege. And we will definitely be back with more. We've got EP Live tomorrow, and we don't know what's in the show yet, but stay tuned. So please come back for that. We've got lots of other content for you to check out, so please do. And if you dig it, hit subscribe, that little bell, and if you're so inclined, that sponsorship button. Thanks for watching, everybody, and my new motto is play forever.